about the how you would go about starting it. I only start it through YouTube so we can record them, so we have them for reference or whatever we'd want. You can start the call on your own, or I can show you maybe after the game tonight. I could show you how I do it through YouTube. If you had any interest in doing it through YouTube. But
I was more just I was like the first one here, so I'm like, oh, I guess I could initiate the call, but I only do this when I'm with you guys. So
okay. Yeah, and you can do it through Google Hangouts if you don't need to record. But if you want to record, then you have to go through Yahoo now or YouTube.
Got it.
So that's what they do.
Cool. Well, any before we, I guess, jump into the game, any other excitement from you guys, or should we?
Jessica, what's been exciting?
Andrew turned 40.
Yeah, I'm old. There's that.
Gross. I can't hang out with old people like you.
Jessica and I got to play a little judo on Saturday.
Cool.
That's been about it. We had a nice dinner with my folks the day before my birthday, Ken and T. Last night after judo, we had some of the judo people over and played a board game. Oh, today I went with David and Piero from the guild from Sleepwalkers. Went over to Piero's house. He and David have been playing a one-on-one D&D campaign. They're playing as kind of orcs, but kind of the World of Warcraft, like the noble, not evil orcs. And they've been doing it for a while. David was up to level 4 already. And they invited me to join. So today was my first day playing as an orc with them.
Nice.
I went bard because I usually don't play bards, and I thought that'd be an interesting take on an orc. So I'm I'm an acolyte to a shaman, and the role of the bards is to like sing the glorious battle songs that capture the history, and probably do a lot of metaphor instead of like a straight historical record. It's going to be mythos.
Very
I
cool.
do not know what's going on with my camera.
I just thought you were eating ice cream again.
When I eat ice cream, I'll turn it off. But
you didn't last time you ate ice cream.
Oh yeah.
I'll just see the camera turn off, and I'll hear the.
Ice cream. I'll try to mute the microphone too.
Well, cool. I'm glad that we're able to get together tonight.
Yeah.
So I have a beginning of session move with you, Andy. I have 2 questions. I'm debating which one is better to ask. So I think I have the answer to one of them, though. So you said that your tribe was sort of like a roving group. They weren't stationary in one place. They sort of followed glory and riches, basically, and moved around from place to place, right? Okay. So I don't need to ask that. Is there a particular religious superstition of your tribe or religious heritage of your group?
I think maybe it's being influenced by thinking a lot about these orcs lately. I think it's a very verbal, oral tradition. And each tribe kind of has some core superstitions that might be expressed differently by different tribes. There are particular places within the large region that are different barbarian tribes circle around each other that are kind of verboten. And so if I ever enter into an area, I think ruins. I think there's ruins. We've talked about how Jessica's uncovering, Jinka is uncovering these technological doodads from the past, right? From great past civilizations. I think there's some of those ruins around our tribes, and we just avoid them because like people go in there and they like they accidentally step into contact with the capacitor and get fried. But we don't know what it is. It's just like lightning from the gods, right? So I think that's probably what it is, like this ancient tech, and particularly like any site of collections of ruins would give you the heebie-jeebies. And I think even Jenka's like equipment, like now that I've seen her use it some, I kind of recognize like, oh shit, like she wields the bad stuff. And so I kind of look to her as maybe she has to control that shit or it's going to kill us all. And now I'm starting to lose faith in her ability to control it because she runs headlong into battle and swings her stick at things. So yeah, I think the old technology, the ruins, the cultures from before us, maybe we even have some people say that we're like we used to be slaves of theirs before the empire fell.
Okay. So now you're level like 47.
I am at
after you mark that
19 XP with that, and I haven't leveled yet. But when I do, I'll spend 8 to get to level 2, and I'll spend 9 to get to level 3, and I'll have 2 XP toward the next level.
You're almost caught up with.
Don't give us a chance to rest.
You're almost caught up with Piro and David from their game. I hope he's eating ice cream because he's gone again.
He is.
It's like he's rubbing my face in it.
Absolutely was.
Okay. So my recollection from how we ended off last time was that you both sort of discovered the method of traps that the goblins were protecting their, at least their main camp, the one that you approached. And so you sort of spotted those and had a plan to deal with those. Tina called out. That was at the end of the campaign. No? Did you? I don't remember if she called out the group when they started charging, or maybe it was when they started charging and you ran in. She called them out so to sort of divert attention. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, the sort of the lead group of this goblin camp came at you. There was a battle that ensued. You were able to take out the lead group while alerting a sort of periphery camp at the same time through an errant magic missile, and heard the sound of something else approaching and could sort of see the maybe upper shoulders and head of a goblin with like a big chunky set of goggles on his face kind of heading towards you, and heard the sound of sort of rattling metal as it approached. Am I missing anything, or is that pretty succinct or pretty accurate what last time was all about? I
think we had Braxton with us. Is it Braxton?
Mm-hmm.
We had him with us and had him kind of be the bait in the trap. So he's on their scene, and now I kind of feel like I'm trying to protect him and also protect Jenka. Jenka got hit bad enough to use a potion. I've taken a few little cuts and scrapes, and I'm kind of looking to the chieftain coming at us and looking at Jenka. Get behind me. Damn it.
No one tells me what to do.
Oh, shit.
That's
Jessica. Yeah, that's Jessica, not Jenka.
I do what I want.
I'm a big girl.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, excuse me. So you sort of hear this rattling metal. You see, again, we mentioned they got like a crazy sort of shock of white hair shooting up, and these big chunky goggles. You hear and see sort of rustling and movement around him of at least a couple of shapes around him. But you probably have, I don't know, you don't know what he's wielding, but you would think you've got a time to react and do something if you want to prepare, if you want to regroup, if you want to gather together before these people are upon you.
And he's on a vehicle of some sort, right?
Well, you hear rattling metal, and he's above what normal goblin head height would be.
He's probably riding one of those warthog things again.
Because that when you've seen the goblins running through the underbrush, you just sort of see almost their wake through the underbrush, and then that's how you can gauge their movement. But you can see at least part of his body above it. So he's either really tall or he's on something.
Then I'm gonna kind of look to the chain, and then look to Jenka, and say, "Can you do something flashy? Get their attention?" And I point to the chain and kind of swipe my hand to indicate, like, I'm going to try and run it across his path instead of like a tripwire. Blow something up.
Okay, so I can either have my unseen servant to help you pull out that wire, maybe do it hidden amongst the wilderness, or I can just do a light flash boom. What would you prefer?
Servant can only do like up to 5 pounds, right? I can't, like, that wire, that chain was a big, heavy fucking chain.
Yeah, the servant wouldn't be able to move the chain. There might be other things around you that the servant could make use of.
Okay.
Not suggesting anything in particular, but there might be.
Oh, the explosives that some of the goblins that we killed were wearing and things like that too.
There's that could be a good idea. There could be many options. I'm not leading you in any direction.
No, but I forgot that we clobbered into a goblin. He had like some explosives on his vest. There might be others.
Okay. What if I go flying over to the tree, light it up, and so that would be the diversion. Does that sound good?
Yeah, just make it real flashy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start running in the direction of the tree. And I'm going to prepare my spell of light.
Okay.
So I roll.
You would roll cast a spell, right?
Mm-hmm. Try to remember this again.
You have a move that you can click on?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how to. Okay. Me. So I have to do cast a spell.
Nice.
And then I'll go ahead and roll lights.
No, that just tells you what you did. Like, rolling cast a spell got the light spell to work.
Yep.
Oh.
And you click light, it just tells us what it does.
Okay. All right.
So, Jinka, when you cast, I don't know if we've seen you cast light before. So when you cast light, what do you do to cast it?
Okay, so from a holster around my leg, there's like a little gun that kind of reminds you like of a oddly shaped Nerf gun that has little wires and trinkets all over the place. I'm gonna run up to the tree, inject it into the bark, and this like liquid is going to come out and engulf the tree. So the tree's going to start changing different colors, like red and green and yellow, the actual trunk, and then the leaves will like flash as well too.
Okay. So as you inject this liquid from your gun into the tree, have you guys ever done the experiment where you put like a stalk of celery into colored water and you can kind of see that's sort of what you see is you see like these trails of color start to go up the trunk, almost like it's going through the veins of the tree. Then it just starts to pulse and glow more and more and more. And then the last thing that happens is the leaves start to sort of almost blink on and off like white Christmas lights, almost like not in sequence or anything, just sort of randomly blinking. It's not a blinding flash of light, but it's certainly a diversion. It certainly pops out. You see the head that's moving through kind of look up at the tree and point a hand, and the hand is gloved. It's got like a thick leather glove on it, and points, and you see two wakes kind of trail off towards the tree, and the chief, if that's who it is, starts to slow down and kind of is looking over there, looking back to you, then looking back to the tree, as whatever he's on is starting to creep to us, to slow down or perhaps stop. About 50 feet from you.
So my goal is to surreptitiously drag that chain kind of across the path that he would be going, and then stand on the other side of it and shout for him, like shout a challenge to draw him toward me, and get him like to charge at me right into that chain. And in Tina's head, like, this is badass. Like, it's already worked, and I'm already like celebrating the victory. So I looked at Braxton like, check this out. This is gonna be cool. And then I'll grab the chain and kind of like dip low and just kind of drag it and try and make it taut, wrap it around another tree or something so it's real low.
Okay.
Depending on your thoughts on it, it might be something that Jenk is doing such a good job distracting them, I get away with it. Or it might take some time and I have to actually try and defy danger, maybe using Dex to be sneaky enough that they don't just see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I remember the person who taught me how to play this game said that if there's a chance for a roll to happen, you should do that.
It's a good
it's a good way to push story and action forward and cause contingency. So yeah, I think is it Defy Danger or Act Under Pressure is the other game that we're playing, right?
Act Under Pressure is
Monster of the Week.
But yeah, Monster of the Week has that. It's from Apocalypse World, but yeah, Monster of the Week has that. I would say Defy Danger, and it's up to you. I think. Well, shit. Let me look at Defy Danger. Dex would be like the danger of getting caught. I'm trying to be sneaky, but you might adjudicate that it's quick thinking or something else also.
I mean, Dex is what I was thinking as well. I mean, I think that makes sense.
I'll try it. Either way, it's a +0. Let me just give it a shot here. So I'm tangled up in chains.
You're not. I don't think you're tangled up in chains. I think just you're spotted. So as you're starting to pull the chains, the weight is not quite what you thought they were. It's either a little heavier or a little lighter than you expected, and so they rattle against each other as you're pulling them.
And I'm grunting like, how the fuck did the goblins? God damn! I'm looking at Braxton like, oh, I'm tougher than this.
The goblin chief, his head kind of snaps in your direction, and he kind of cocks it to one side. And he doesn't say anything to the other goblins who are moving to the tree, but he just starts to kind of move his hands together. And there's this kind of dull green, smoky light starting to form between his two hands.
He's about 50 foot from me. I am going to look at my equipment list real quick. From my adventuring gear, I'm going to pull out no, I guess I don't know what he's doing just yet. I'm going to drop the chain and just start charging toward him with the idea that, like, if he's casting a spell, which is what I anticipate, I'm going to try and, like, juke out of the way at the last second.
Okay.
But I'm going to just charge at him and just kind of give a yell. I'm not even trying to do the what are you waiting for just yet, because his attention is on me, and the others are not attacking Jenka yet. So, yeah. Okay.
So he's moving his hands together, and he sort of pulls them apart, and there's this free-floating, it almost looks like a glowing green water, almost. It sort of kind of pulses and waves around like moving water. And he pulls his hands away and reaches down, and he pulls up two hinged posts with a leather strap hanging in between them. And he kind of gathers this thing in between the two middle straps and starts pulling the strap back. Looks like a sort of a goofy looking slingshot, basically.
And as I'm running toward him, he's going to get a shot off before I get to him. Like he's getting it loaded up, and I'm running like full force into the incoming shot, basically.
You think he would get the shot off before you are in melee range,
Okay.
but it would be close. Like you could try to overwhelm him if you wanted to go that route. You're not quite sure if you'd get there before he gets the shot off or not.
Mm-hmm. I think what I would try to do is to hurl a dagger at him, just to interrupt what he's doing. So as I'm charging forward, my sword up, I kind of drop one hand to my belt, take a dagger, and whip it at him.
Sure.
So let me try a volley here. Volley.
Nice.
Yeah. And so the damage that I'm gonna do, I think I need to flip over here. Didn't actually do any damage, though, did it?
Yep.
Um.
Is your dagger messy and forceful?
Yeah, I think. Let me double check the wording. I think it's any weapon in my hands.
Okay.
When you roll a weapon, it gains forcefulness. Yeah. Sure. And it just like it'll be a bloody wound. It'll break something, right. But it's not necessarily gonna.
It's more for like cinematic effect.
Yeah, very much so. I don't think I have a way to just do this. I'm gonna just hit damage. So 5 damage.
Cool. Nice. So you chuck the dagger at him. He does pull back the straps and let this thing loose. But your dagger kind of clatters into like center mass of his chest, basically. And you do hear a clatter when it hits him. So he's wearing something, or maybe the vehicle he's in kind of partially deflected it, but he's armored somehow. But he still sort of grunts and lurches forward a little bit as you know you've impacted him. And there's a spray of blood kind of from his side back, like very Tarantino-esque, like a whoosh of glut of blood out the back. It sprays against the leaves of a tree. The projectile kind of careens high past you, like not close to you. You successfully diverted a shot, but this flying orb, like I said, looks like a marble or a smoky green water or something, flies past your head, maybe 10 feet above you, and crashes into a tree, and you just hear a hiss and see a smoke as this like blob of acid splashes into a tree. He shouts something in Goblin, just sort of, rah, rah, and you hear the clatter again as the whatever he's on starts moving, starts kind of lurching to movement, not towards you anymore, but sort of strafing along, parallel to you. Doesn't appear that he wants to charge up and engage in the giant woman with a huge sword.
Okay.
But
I'm going to keep going for it. I'm going to call to Braxton. Stay by Janka. Protect each other. And I'm going to charge in there. And I'm going to start shouting out kind of challenging calls, questioning the heritage of the goblin, the sanctity of his parents' marital vows, just trying to egg him into stopping and fighting me.
Sir, go ahead.
Oh, I'm trying to think if I would be triggering Herculean appetites for fame and glory as I'm going after this chieftain. Like, he's the head of the goblins, right? That's how Grundy told us.
He appears to be. Yeah. I mean, Grundy told you there was a chief, and this guy seems like he's it.
Well, because Grundy's still on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look down like, this is the chief, right?
He nods.
Then watch this. Prepare the poem you will write for me. And I'll charge in there. And yeah.
Did you already shout all those things out?
Yeah.
So as you were shouting them, it's almost like, you have a translator essentially sitting on your shoulder. So as you're shouting them out, you hear in Goblin, this kind of small voice from your shoulder screaming out in Goblin.
Nice.
The things that, well, you don't know what he's saying, but he's translating out what you're shouting. And the chief gets this kind of snarl on his face and wheels towards you. What he's on sort of breaks through a break in the underbrush, and you see he's sitting on essentially a bicycle seat, and below him he's on a four-wheeled vehicle, and sitting sort of on each side below him is a goblin pedaling. So he's like basically sitting on a seat on top of two bicycles. These goblins are pedaling to move him, and he's sort of steering, and he's also got this slingshot thing on the top. On the front of it is this gnarly looking, it's shaped like a wedge, but it's threaded like a drill on the point of this thing. So he wheels towards and starts heading towards you, and it makes a horrible clatter as it moves. This doesn't look like a super. You're not a mechanic, but it's not like a well-oiled, efficient machine. But it does the job and gets him through the forest.
And most importantly, I want it. Like, I see that. Like, I don't care about well-oiled. Like, holy shit, I'm gonna ride around in that goddamn thing. I'm gonna get some henchmen to drive me around. That's how a queen rides.
It's goblin sized, so whether you would fit on it or not is a question. But yeah, you could try.
I have knocked a child off of a Power Wheels before to take control of that. I will do that again. Might be a good time to cut to Janka. Like, as I'm charging in, and that drill comes, like, I'm going forward.
Okay. Cut to Janka. You are next to the tree, sort of pulling your gun away, reholstering it, and you see two shapes veer towards you and start to close the distance. Not closing the distance terribly quickly because they appear to be on foot. They're not breaking above the brush level.
Okay. So, just to mess around with them, I'm going to start just talking in gibberish, trying to put similar sounds that are goblin together to just confuse them and to think that I understand them or I know what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're trying to sort of just distract them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe defy danger charisma, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what's your purpose in doing that? So they don't see what you're actually doing, or?
Yeah, it's just to kind of buy me time so I can put my gun back in its holster and get my staff out.
Yeah, so I guess this could be either intelligence or charisma. You're using quick thinking, trying to create some sort of a diversion. That could be intelligence.
Okay.
Or you are trying to sort of use your social presence to create a result. I don't know. I'll let you guys sort of think about whether you think it should be intelligence or charisma.
I definitely like charisma. I was just trying to think if it works or doesn't work, whatever the die roll is, to help you interpret what would happen to her.
Sure.
Instead of just asking what are you doing, the why are you doing it, helps kind of frame a success or a failure.
Sure.
But I think charisma was a good call unless Jessica.
Okay.
Go with charisma.
Yeah. Nice.
Fuck yeah, you're charismatic.
I'm not charismatic, so.
You just don't want to level up.
Oh my god, still a -1. You rolled 2 6s. Nice.
All right. Yeah, you start just shouting gibberish, and they are sprinting towards you, and you see them both kind of slow to a trot and then stop. And then you hear sort of muttering back and forth as it almost sounds like they're talking to each other, arguing, trying to decide what's going on, what to do next. You can see where they stopped because there's the occasional little in the brush as they're chatting to each other. But yeah, it's like two Jawas muttering at each other in weird language that you don't understand. But they've stopped for the moment and seem distracted. They seem like they're engaged on each other, like, what the fuck do we do?
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just try to run past them while they're talking to each other, just so they don't see me. I'm gonna try to go towards Tina and try to help her out over there.
Okay, try to regroup with Tina.
Mm-hmm.
As you start to run towards Tina, you meet up with Braxton first because he's headed towards you. He kind of jogs to a stop. Yeah, Tina said to come to you.
Mm-hmm. We're going back to her.
I wish you would have told me that. All right.
I already done run.
And he sort of jogs, keeps pace with you and jogs alongside you. And you've distracted these two long enough that you can close the distance and make it back to Tina before, as you're headed towards Tina, you see this clattering metal monstrosity sort of rattling towards her with a big drill on the front and a leather-clad goblin with just like a big white pompadour and goggles in the driver's seat.
Okay. Can I go ahead and try to run towards the bicycle and then with my staff, like, put it between the spokes of the tires and try to get it to, like, stall?
Sure. So do we think that would be a hack and slash or defy danger?
She's not trying to inflict damage on an enemy, so she doesn't quite trigger hack and slash. Probably would be defy danger, either intel or dex, if it's an issue of timing versus quick thinking.
I mean, I would think it really could be either. I mean, I think that you've got the plan. The difficult thing is going to be sort of executing it physically.
Okay.
So I'd say go ahead and do a defy danger dex. Okay.
Seven's not bad.
No. Yeah. So you run up. You're sort of, it's almost like running alongside of a train that you're trying to jump on and catch. You've sort of got to gauge the running speed to get the right angle to do this. You start to reach the staff in between the spokes. And as you do it, you're closer to the one goblin that's pedaling than you thought you would be. So you can do this. You're pretty sure if you do, though, his attention is going to be on you. Like, he could grab you. He could reach out for you. So you're welcome to try it, but you're not sure if it's going to if this goblin's going to be able to either grab you or grab your staff as you do it.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and try still.
Okay. So you reach down, you sort of jab your staff into the wheels, and it kind of lurches against you as you catch the spokes. But you muscle in, you sort of hold your ground, and the wheels buck, and it sort of lists to one side as the wheel that you've got is locked. The other wheels are still trying to turn. So it sort of curves to one side, and this goblin looks up at you and just takes a swipe out at you with a dagger from inside the cab of this thing. Go ahead and roll 1d3. Okay. So he catches you just on your hand as you're pulling back with your staff, and swipes across and slashes you for 2 damage. But you've disabled their vehicle. It's that wheel is sort of bent and twisted. As you pull the staff, you see them trying to pedal, and the 3 wheels are turning, and the wheel that you jabbed your staff into is just digging a deep rut into the dirt.
Okay, I'm gonna yell, "Ha ha! 10 points!" Like it's some game that we play
Fucking Slytherin.
my kingdom. Yeah.
Is it reminiscent of like a chariot combat game that you would play?
Yeah.
Huzzah!
So the as the thing sort of wheels to a stop, you're hearing the echoes of shouts, the echoes of movement in the distance from the direction that the other camp was. There's still a good, I don't know, several minutes away. 3, 4, 5 minutes maybe at the most. So they're not on top of you, but you are reminded that they're coming, that you've heard them. The goblin chief stands up from his seat, and you can both see now that he's in sort of a patchwork leather and rusty metal armor. It's like leather with a few little metal plates in places. It's cobbled together. Has a dagger at his side, and he's wearing these goggles. And he pulls a lever, and a rope ladder kind of swings down one side of the thing, and he starts to climb down to get off of this thing. Shouts something in Goblin, and the 2 that are the engine of this thing, that are the ones pedaling it, jump off and start like working at the wheel, almost like a Goblin pit crew, like trying to fix it. And he kind of stomps out in front of the thing, standing between the 2 of you and this cart.
I'm prepared to charge in there and cut him in half.
Mm-hmm.
You can now see also that your dagger that you threw is sticking out of kind of the meat of the side of him. It didn't like hit him right in the gut, but it's sort of like hanging out of his side. And it's, a streak of blood going down his leg. So you did draw first blood with this goblin dude.
Fuck yeah. I'm actually going to yell out, "First blood!" Grundy, translate that. "First blood!" I'm going to charge in there, and I'm going to kind of call out to Tina and Braxton and everybody else. The chieftain is mine. I shall take his steed, the platform, and charge in there and try and hack at him with my 2-handed sword.
And Grundy starts yelling things out, and he's yelling a lot longer than you talked.
So, he's making a counter deal.
Well, yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he's just embellishing what you said, but it's not a short sentence what he's saying. He's getting into his performance.
Oh, good deal.
So, go ahead and roll a hack and slash if you're running in on him.
And I'm going to do a D6 plus a D8 because of my barbarian deal.
Yep.
And I need to double check my strength is +1. And if the 6 roll is higher than the 8, then there's a complication. And they're tied. Let me make sure it's not equal to. Herculean updates. Yeah, the D6 is higher, so there's no complication.
So you're good.
So I'm cutting into him, and it's a hack and slash. I'm going to add the extra D6 damage to open myself up to an attack from him.
All right.
So I'm going to roll the damage, and then I need to add a D6 to it. 4. 4 points of damage, and I get counterattacked.
Go ahead and roll a d8.
Okay. And I think as I go in there, part of what I'm doing, like I'm cutting with a sword, and at one point I just want to kind of tap my fingers on that dagger that's stuck in the meat of him, and just have it like resonate, ding, and I'm just cutting into him.
Sure.
And probably being a foolish little asshole like that is what opens me up to a d8. 3.
So yeah, not too bad. So
And
as
I
you
have
rush,
1 armor, so I'm gonna drop 2 off or 1 off of that.
this attack actually ignores armor.
Okay, good. So I'm at 17. Okay.
So as you're rushing in, he starts waving his hands around like he did before, and looks down and realizes he's not sitting in his cart, so he doesn't have the slingshot, and looks up in time to see your sword swooping down at him and just kind of like underhand tosses this thing up at you. So it doesn't hit you with the full force, but it glances off of you, and you feel a burn and feel a hiss as the acid sort of burns into you. And at the same time, you swipe across and clip him in the side with your sword, and slap the dagger, which makes a satisfying hum as it rattles in his side. He sort of grunts and like drops to one knee and tries to wheel around to still be facing you. He doesn't want to be flanked by you. But you've heard him. He doesn't look like he's on death's door, but he's definitely hurt. The other 2 goblins are like look away and look back and start again kind of jiggling this wheel and sort of trying to bend it back into place. You can't tell how much luck they're having, but they're doing their best to salvage this machine.
All right, as he's trying to do that, I'm gonna go up to the pit crew. I'm gonna try to kick them away from the tire or the wheel and towards Braxton. And I'm gonna tell Braxton just slash at them, just slash at them.
So Andy, in terms of mechanics, would he add to her damage? As a
yeah, what we ought to do is maybe at the end of the session today, work him out as a hireling.
Okay.
But I would say give him at least 1 warrior. When you deal damage while a warrior aids you, add their skill and damage, a skill to the damage done. He's at least a warrior 1, so basically she drags him into her attack. He adds +1 to her damage, or whatever the skill is. If she gets counterattacked, like if she rolls and gets hit, he's part of it too, and he gets hurt.
Okay.
Generally for hirelings, I give them like basically they can kind of take 3 attacks before they either leave or die, or either 3 normal attacks or 1 like really bad attack.
Got it.
We'll usually take care of them.
Okay. So, Jenka, go ahead and roll a hack and slash. I like calling it kick some ass better. I think that's more fun, but...
Oh, no. That was no good.
So you rush in to kick at them, and as you kick, the one just almost Matador style, kind of like olays away, and your leg whooshes past him, and he kind of drops an elbow on your shin.
Ooh. As
you go through. Go ahead and roll. Let me double check their damage. I think it's pretty low. I think it's deep. Sorry. I just want to make sure I'm not doing this wrong. We've only been fighting them for 3 weeks. I should know. D6. Oh. He must have a really pointy elbow or something, because he just cracks down in just the right spot. And you feel a tingle in your leg. As you feel that, Braxton is rushing in as well, and the other goblin hears him kind of lumbering towards and swipes back with a dagger and streaks across his belly, and he's kind of like shocked, like, and stumbles back, sort of mitigates his attack. So is that 5 damage all to Jenka, or is that split somehow between the 2 of them? Or does she
No,
take 5 and he just takes a hit as well?
she takes 5, and then if you wanted to track hit points for him, you could. I would just say he takes
Right.
one of those 3 attacks.
Got
He's
it.
got a pretty bad gut wound. We'll need to take care of him.
Got it. Okay. So that's how that attempt is resolved. You're able to walk on your leg. It's not like it's broken or damaged or anything. It's just like a funny bone hit or something. That's how it. I mean, it hurts like hell, but that's the tingling I'm describing. It's like you just feel that numbness for a second. Sorry, Cassie was asking if we're breaking soon.
I'm good for it. If you need to take care of something, we can take a 5 or 10.
I think she's just trying to gauge whether we should swap rooms because she's in the living room and I'm up in the bedroom so she can watch shows. Let's try to resolve this because I don't think it's going to take too much longer necessarily. I'll tell her maybe 10 minutes from now. Oh, she said she's just checking. She's fine. She's probably starting another show. Okay, so the situation we're in, Tina squaring off with the Goblin Chief, who's injured but still standing. At the moment, isn't intimidated enough by you that he's not squaring off with you. And Jenka took a nasty elbow to the shin, and Braxton took a gut shot. And you hear noises in the distance starting to get closer.
I feel a strong responsibility toward Braxton. I've kind of told him he'd make it out of here, and I see him get gut shot. And Jenka is one of my bonds is Jenka Vales is a freaking menace. She'd die in a minute if I don't keep my eye on her. And I think this is reinforcing that. I'm kind of stalking after the Goblin Chief, then fuck. I'm going to jump on top of the platform and kind of want to know, is it going to bear my weight? So I'm jumping on top of it. And as I do, I'm slashing down onto the 2 goblins that are the pit crew.
Okay. Go ahead.
So here's hack and slash. And I don't think this would get her clean appetites because I'm cleaning up the shaft. I'm not attacking the big boss.
Right.
So just straight up hack and slash. A 9. This might be a good opportunity for you to step in, Jessica. If Janky could help.
I don't know how to help.
You're kind of already engaging them, right?
Yeah.
You basically distract them while I'm attacking them to really open them up for me or something like that.
Oh, could I maybe okay, I'm gonna grab my gun again and make the bicycle light up. Can I do that?
You're not actually casting a spell. You would roll. Do you see the aid or interfere move?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what you would roll. So how would you just kind of in a mundane way just do something that helps me attack them better than And you can choose not to also. If you do it and you don't roll well, it also exposes you to more danger. So a 9 is good enough. I'm going to hit him. Or hit, So you don't need to. It's just that I'm at that threshold. That's why I pointed it out. Sounds like you're not inspired to. I'll just take the 9. Just go at him. I'm cutting down at him and kind of cursing at Janka, like, back, don't get hit. Damn it. Braxton, you're okay? And I'm slashing down on him.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Yep. It's going to be a D10 plus 1. It is here.
Nice.
8.
You actually do a sort of an arcing swipe through both of them. And that is just the damage you would need to dispatch both of them through their armor. But as you're swiping down, the one closest to you reaches up and pulls another strap right below the seat that you're standing on. And go ahead and roll a d6.
Fuck yeah. Let's see here.
2? Okay, and your armor would mitigate one of this. So you swipe through and you get the satisfaction of seeing both of these goblins just cleaved in half and just sort of like split open and fall down on the ground. But the one reaches up and pulls this strap. You hear just like a brrrng, and you feel the seat below one of your feet flip up as a spring below it shoots up ejection seat style and tosses you sort of ass over tea kettle off of the top of this thing, and
Nice.
you land flat on your back and take 1 damage and kind of have the wind knocked out of you for a second.
Fuck yeah.
Damn goblin technology. So those 2 guys are meat on the ground at this point, and the chief is on his own, kind of looking at his dilapidated contraption, looking back at you guys, looking behind him to see if there's an angle for an escape. And for the first time, he hears the noise coming in the distance and gets kind of a grin on his face and steels himself.
Jenka?
Okay, I'm gonna lean down onto the on the bicycle and press a small button on my staff to like withdraw it from the spikes.
Okay.
And get it in my hand, and then make it big again, and then just hack and slash at the captain. Since he's kind of distracted right now with the noise in the distance.
Sure. Let me ask a quick, just flavor question. It sounded like your staff is sort of telescoping. Is that what you have in mind? Like it can, like almost like a baton, it can like stretch out, or you can hit a button and it'll retract.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and roll a hack and slash at the chief. Nice.
9.
All right. Again, right on the edge of aid. I don't know if you're inspired or if you are able to. You're not so far away that you couldn't do something. This ejection seat is meant to toss a 35 or 40 pound being clear of this vehicle, and you weigh probably 4 or 5 times that or more.
Did the seat go with me?
No, it's connected by a spring. And actually, if you look up, you see it sort of bobbing on the end of this loosened spring now.
I think kind of as I'm landing there, I see Jenka kind of leaping through the air all crazy-ass style. And I'm just going to bark out to the Goblin Chieftain, don't smile. You won't be here for the reinforcements. And try and just get his attention on me to give her an opening. So I'm going to roll an aid or interfere. Is it okay with you, Jessica, if I aid?
Yeah.
So I roll. I have 2 bonds. I'm going to roll based off of con to get a +2.
Nice.
There you go.
So Jenka, as you fly in, you see him start to sort of put his hands together, like he's going to start casting the spell again. And Tina barks out something at him, and he drops his hands and looks over for a second, and then looks back up just in time to see your staff kind of swinging down on him. Go ahead and roll your damage. 3. So you bring the staff down. I mean, are you like swiping it down vertically?
Like at an angle, okay. Almost like your Sonics.
Yeah. So you swing it down. It catches him right where the neck meets the head, and you just hear a crack, and he howls. And he, that arm, I guess, right arm, goes slack to his side, and he sort of whimpers and drops to one knee and starts to try and inch backwards to try and kind of slide away from you. He is alive, but in a bad way. So he's trying to sort of inch back from both of you. and start to try to scramble to his feet. And Braxton is sort of stomping up behind the two of you at this time as well. So you're kind of 3 wide against this guy.
Does he have any weapons on him or no?
You see a dagger at his side.
Okay.
It's on his right side. You'd have to reach across his body to get it since his right hand seems incapacitated, but he has a dagger at his side.
Okay. Because I would probably like jog up to him a little bit and with my foot
I should stop you.
Push him down onto the ground.
I should stop you. You see a dagger, and that's the only weapon you see. He has little pouches and backpacks and containers all over him. You don't know what's in those, but the only visible weapon you see is a dagger.
Oh crap! There was this little like grenade stuff.
And he's got spells of some sort. He's doing acid orbs he throws at my face from time to time. Like a dick.
I just don't want to mislead that you see this guy armed only with one dagger and then you run in on him. You can still run in on him. He looks like he's on death's door.
Yeah. The thing is that I want to take him hostage. Since he is the chieftain of the group, if we take him hostage, maybe they would have to cower down.
Could be.
Tina?
That might be a thing to talk about as players instead of also as characters. Like if we're interested in taking it that way. Because I was thinking of that, but we intended to come here and kill them all. If we let them surround us and then we use him as a hostage, that just means they get to us, and if we end up killing him in front of them, they're all here. Like we've given them more time. So like as a player, Jessica, is it something that you're interested in? Like maybe we want to explore a route where we actually like do let him live and leave. But if our plan is to cut their heads off and get the bounty, I don't think we want to take him captive and have to deal with him and all of his allies in 5 minutes.
All right, then.
So what's your thought as far as that? Like, do you want to try and is it a better story to kill him or to?
We'll do the Julius Caesar thing.
Okay.
Death.
Yeah, I'd say just go for him or give Braxton the kill.
All right, Braxton. It's your moment to prove yourself. You get to slay him.
He kind of twirls his axe in his hands. So if your hireling is going to do the attack, how do we do that? I mean, I'm not rolling.
Yeah, he really can't do a move on his own, but what it would be like a coordinated attack with Jenka or with me, where we attack and like let him add his damage, and then thematically like we hold the chieftain down, and if we do enough damage, then it's Braxton that does it.
Okay.
But yeah, the move has to be triggered by a player, and the hireling just helps.
Okay.
So Jenka, do you want to attack and have Braxton join you to deal damage?
Could I maybe attack him with Unseen Servant?
That can't attack. That spell is purely
just carry stuff. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll attack. It would just have to be with my staff, though.
I mean, thematically, it could be that you're holding him down with your staff while you give Braxton the opportunity to come in and finish him off.
Yeah, go ahead and I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll run up and then with my my staff, telescope it a little bit further, and kind of pin him down to the dirt.
Okay.
And I'll tell Braxton to finish it off.
So go ahead and roll a hack and slash. Hope you don't get another shin kick. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Even if I ate, I would only bring you up to a +6. So you remember how Josh said that he was covered in all these little pouches?
I'm gonna die, my friend.
Maybe not. I don't know how many hit points you have. This wasn't meant to be the TPK battle. Go ahead and roll a d6. It would be d8 if he was casting his spell, but he's one-handed. Oh shit!
I'm dead.
Now, death doesn't work the same way in Dungeon World as D&D. Death is still interesting. But does Jenka fall? Do you actually get to 0 hit points or below?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. You go to pin him down, and you can see it's almost that moment where you're you're looking your enemy in the eyes, and you can see his eyes through the sort of smoky glass of these goggles, and he looks up at you and winks. And as he does that, you hear a click and a whir, and it almost is like it's a hooked barb. It's almost like a grappling hook that fires out from his under one of his gloves and catches you in the stomach, and everything just goes black. And you see this little kind of mini grappling hook shoot in and catch Jenka in the stomach, and then pull back, and there's just a spout of blood, and she crumples to the ground. And Braxton is running up with his axe to make to do the kill, and just sort of slows to a stop, and the goblin looks up at him and just throws a handful of those caltrops, and they kind of scatter over his body. He's like, "Oh, fuck!" Kind of turns around and drops to one knee.
Tina got complacent and let Jenka down, and looks at Braxton. He's let down too. And I'm fucking furious now. I'm stomping up to the Goblin Chieftain. Nothing fanciful, nothing heroic. I'm just going to put him down like cattle, like livestock. So I'm going to go for a hack and slash. 9. Trade blows. Here's my damage against him.
Okay.
Okay.
And roll a d6. So you take 2 damage because it is armored. He's sort of like pushing backwards with one hand and his feet, trying to sort of scramble away from you as you approach him. And you see that he sort of becomes resigned to what's going to happen. And he reaches into one of the pouches and just throws this. It almost looks like a dust, but it's really finely ground glass that kind of flips across your mouth and your face and the eyes. But it does 2 damage as you get little slices and pinpricks. It's almost like fiberglass fibers, but sharp. And you swipe down and just cleave him. And he's gone.
Yeah, I'm going to turn my head and kind of cough out and try and like almost wipe in my face. Like, fuck.
And it stings more as you try to wipe it because they're like little shards that are embedded.
Yeah. So I'm going to just stand over Jenka. And then I'm going to back out of the scene if you want to handle her.
So let me ask you this, Andy. With hitting 0 hit points, does that automatically trigger last breath, or is there a way to stabilize somebody with medicine or with one of your healing kits?
No, unless there was a spell that specifically did it, or like a ritual or something that we'd make up. Generally, last breath is just kind of triggered wherever it fits into the scene.
Okay.
And if you look on the special moves, there is a brief description.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd recommend Jessica look at it too. It's kind of how you handle dying here.
It's happened to me too.
So do I just roll dying? Or do I need to modify the roll?
Well, let's...
Basically, when you die, or when you get to 0 hit points, you end up standing before the black gates, which is what Josh would work out with you, what that looks like for an elf from Jenka's people, or in this situation. You're going to roll 2d6 unmodified, and depending on the roll, if you get 10 plus, you're back. On a 7 to 9, death will give you a bargain, an offer, and you can just choose to take it and come back to life, or not and die. And on a 6 minus, you're just dead. Oh, you rolled already?
Oh,
I want to know what her black gates look like.
Why? Did a roll happen already? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're not necessarily dead. That's good. So Jenka, everything goes black. And you feel cold. Like a bone cold. Where you just can't get warm. And you feel the ground against your back, and it doesn't feel like a forest floor. It feels like you're on rock, like you're on stone. You open your eyes, and you're surrounded by torchlight, but you're inside some sort of a stone structure. And as you sort of blink away the disorientation, there's a ring of braziers around you. Each one is sitting on a little pyramid of salt. And there's like a little metal bowl with a fire burning in it that's got this sort of sweet smelling incense that's surrounding you. And as you look around, there are metal chairs all around you. And in each chair, there's elves that you don't recognize. There are 8 of them surrounding you. All of them dressed differently. All of them look different. All of them look like they're from different points in history, but they're definitely from your tribe. Some look like they're from the deep, deep past in like long, heavy, almost woolen cloaks, wooden staves, stone daggers to their side, very almost primitive looking, but regal. Some of them look like your contemporaries. Some of them look like they're carrying the types of devices that you're scavenging for and pillaging. And some of them look like they're completely unfamiliar in like long, flowy cloth trousers and shirts, dark glasses, like mirrored glasses almost, metal devices that look like your light spell device, but black metal. Just varying people from varying times, but all from your heritage. And simultaneously, they speak to you. You hear the voice from all around you as they all speak in unison. And it's men and women, and some that you can't identify whether they're male or female. Jenka Vales, we didn't expect you so soon.
I wasn't expecting to be here either.
I don't know if this is your time. Maybe your time.
I still have so much left to do, and I don't know what happened to Tina and Braxton.
Uh-oh, am I losing you?
Oh, Jessica, we lost you. Do you want to leave and come back in, Jessica?
I can't stay here.
Okay. I can't tell if I have you back or not.
She's not back just yet. I think the audio caught up to what she was saying, but
yeah.
It's a really good black gate, so I like that. Let me go check on her real quick.
Okay.
Okay, babe. You killed Jenka.
What you talking about?
Close it. Quit breaking the internet.
didn't break it.
Mm-hmm. Did you find cake in my beard? Josh just laughed at me. Forgot I was on the air. You go to Hangouts. Yeah, you got it. Back to the chat. You getting hot? You gonna take a little break, Josh? We'll come
Sure.
back in a second. Yeah, she's getting some issues here.
Okay. I'll just see you guys maybe at 10:30.
Sounds good. He's gonna see us at 10:30.
Cool.
You want to just restart the computer, Jessica? See what that is. Let me get you a drink.
Okay.
Are you gonna be willing to take a deal? Yeah. Oh, that'd be a horrible deal.
I know what the deal's gonna be.
Be fun, I'm sure. He told me before you, or right after you disconnect, he said the deal was gonna be that you have to obey Tina everything she says and never run into combat, and always stand behind a plexiglass shield. And Braxton's your boss. Oh, he said all that real quick.
Sounds like what's his name? Gumby.
Gumby.
What's his name?
Mm.
That little
Grundy.
Grundy.
Doesn't sound like something I just made up.
No.
Good.
Like Grundy's talking out of his butt.
You have to work tomorrow. I'm on spring break. What's that warning that pops up?
Something about your stuff. I can't download apps because of your stuff. I should get the last potion before I
Mm.
learn to
Might be a heat issue. Can I have a look real quick?
to that Bob shop, whatever thing yet.
The what?
Not Bob Steakhouse.
No, I haven't tried it. It's not too hot down there. What is going on? You know what those warning messages were? Maybe. I'll do this afterward. It's like Chrome just isn't working. Oh, there we go. Now it's running really slow, but that might be the updates that it needs. I'll log on and do updates after we end the game tonight. I'm just not sure what Samsung is trying to do. Can you hear me, Josh?
Yes, I can hear you.
We're having some trouble with her with my laptop that she plays on. For some reason, it's not loading Chrome or not loading Hangouts, but maybe we're getting it here. It was calling for some updates, and here we go. Here we go. I think we're getting in. Where did I send you the link? Was it? Change it here?
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting her in. This is the one. There we go. I'm agreeing to the rules, babe. Okay.
You're back.
Hi. Sorry
Hello.
about that.
Don't let it happen again.
Your laptop went to the black gates.
Apparently it did with me.
I'm looking at one thing really quickly.
Okay.
Okay. So, I lost you when you said, I don't know if it's my time. I don't know what happened to Jenka.
Mm-hmm.
But just, I guess, to get back into the scene and the mood, you're surrounded, sort of sitting however you want to be sitting. You were laying on your back in the middle of this circle of sconces almost. And each of these figures is sitting on a different type of chair. And maybe even the chairs look of different eras. You know, some of them are on like just seated on like a flat, polished piece of rock with no back, no arms. It's just a stone. Some of them are seated in wooden chairs. The ones who look almost like they're from the future are sitting in like a swiveling cloth, almost like an office chair, with arms. It kind of reclines back as they lean back in it. And you were saying that you don't know if it's your time. So
Yeah. It isn't my time yet. I was in the middle of battle with Tina and Braxton, and I can't leave them just yet. There are still so many goblins to fight. There's still so many wars that need to be accomplished. My journey isn't complete. I need to go back.
Time is a funny thing. And war is a funny thing. Your mortal attendants are not your concern. They're not our concern. We're ready for you here in Elysium. You can be at peace. And you don't have to worry about those humans that you were with. And you can be here. You can be comfortable. You can be with your people. We have the power to send you back to them if you'd like. That is what you want.
Yes.
But things won't be the way they were. We need to make sure that you are of us, that you're worthy to seek the things that you're seeking, and that you're worthy to end up here and not be soiled by the associations you're making. So if you go back with us watching. And you go back with us whispering to make sure that you stay on the right path. So out of RP, this would almost look like the dark side move that the Spooky has in Monster of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
You would have someone watching, someone talking, someone instructing. And if you follow the instructions or if you follow the advice, you mark XP. If you don't, you would lose a spell for the day. Not all of your spells, but one at a time. And you would have this sort of constant monkey on your back of the elven afterlife watching and following. And I guess you can decide of whether they sound like folks you'd want to hang out with all the time.
All right, but you guys won't be pestering me when I'm trying to sleep, though, right? Or when I'm taking care of private duties.
What is privacy? There's no privacy. You have no secrets from us. This is the offer we have for you. Or you can stay here with us in paradise. Learn from us. Learn about what's coming. Learn about what's happened. See all of the things that you seek here in front of you now. No more questions. Only answers.
But pooping in public. They're pretty clear about that.
Right. Right. None of them are sitting on a toilet. So who knows? The choice is yours.
'Cause, 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 I will take the bargain. I just ask that that you allow me at least 3 hours a day for sleep. That you don't bug me during those times.
The most primitive looking one of all of them is a tall, thin woman in like animal skins with a long, curving, looks like a staff, but it looks like it's made of bone. Stands up from the stone that she's sitting on and strides towards you, reaches her hand down to your face, and says, Jinka, you can ask us for nothing. And she kind of swipes over your face like this, and you open your eyes and you're in the forest.
Okay. Am I close to Tina though, or am I just like randomly placed back on Earth?
No, you're where you were. Your body is where it fell. And I guess where Tina is, a few moments elapsed, a few minutes. I'm not sure what you did besides kill the goblin. Braxton is kind of struggling to get to his feet and pick caltrops out of his face. You see Tina on the ground still.
I think I've already said some sort of. I checked on Braxton, made sure he was like not bleeding out, and told him, "Don't pay them any mind. We're gonna be okay." And I closed Jenka's eyes, and I said whatever passes for a funerary kind of oath. I pick her body up, and I look at that cart, and I figure that's probably the easiest way to get her out of the goblin forest, at least. I'm going to find a real pretty place to leave her body. And so I've set it on that cart. And then I'm just going to lean against the cart, or maybe put one foot on the cart, and I've got my sword out, and I'm just running the sharp stone, whetstone down the blade, waiting for the goblins to show up.
Okay. So, Jinka, as you open your eyes, you realize you see the trees above you, but you're not laying on the ground, and you hear the kind of swipe of stone against metal. And you hear commotion as there's echoes of feral voices 1.5 to 2 minutes away.
All right. I'm gonna lay on the cart, and I'm gonna start muttering like a eulogy for Tina to see if she hears me talking.
As soon as I hear the voice, I'll take a step away and look down at her. And I don't know if there's stories about like elves being immortal or things like that. Like maybe like I just look at her, and all I know is she was dead. Like I've buried friends before, and she was dead. And she's muttering, and I'm just trying to not, freak out. I'll put my hand kind of up high on her chest and kind of feel like, is her chest rising? Elf. No, shake you, my big meaty paw, like covering your chest, shaking you gently.
Just gonna swat at the arm. And
I thought I had lost you.
You did. You did. You failed me. You failed me, Tina. I died.
Oh shit! Her face drops. Dick move, Jessica. Yeah, she's taken aback. What kind of shape is she in? Like, is she wounded still? Did her wounds heal? Is she at full hit points? Is she close to death?
She is pristine. Her clothes look like they've been through the ringer. but she is unwounded. Almost looks like she's like having freshly gotten ready for the day, as much as Jenka ever does.
All right, you asked for this, Jenka. I'm gonna pick her up, and you have freedom to stop me at any point during this, Jessica, or to oppose it. But I'm gonna kind of scoop you up and throw you over my shoulder, grab the sword, and tell Braxton, "Come with me. We're getting out of here." And I'm like pushing out. I think I probably walk faster than the goblins, unless like maybe some of the warg riders would catch up with us.
Braxton looks to you, and he looks to the dead goblin leader on the ground and sort of picks a couple more caltrops out of his forehead. Like, what about him?
Braxton's a big, strong guy. Could he carry the chieftain?
Yeah, easily. It'd be like carrying a toddler.
Shit. Bring him, and I'll go to the other ones we've dropped here, and I'll start kind of cutting off heads and gather the heads.
Okay.
And we'll start kind of. I mean, it takes a minute to do that. Like, I'm cutting it close and narratively do what you need to do to me for that. But like, I do want the gold.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time, as I'm cutting the heads off these things, what is Jenka doing on my shoulder? Like, does she not protest, or does she protest, or?
I'm just laughing. You buffoon. Wouldn't it be easier to ask for my assistance as well to chop off these heads? But no, you have me straddled over your shoulder.
As you do that, I'm gonna kind of with a clean part of the blade smack you on the upper thigh and say you're gonna run off into battle again. I did fail you, not again. You think it's bad having elves in your head whisper shit at you? Tina's becoming your babysitter now.
So as you're sort of doing your last of your homework, you hear the the clattering and the commotion getting louder and louder. Were you planning on doing this and then sort of taking off and trying to outrun them on foot?
Yeah,
Sounded like that's what you were.
I think we had horses that were tied up.
Yeah, a ways back, but not too far back. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be a run, and they'll be on our tail. But that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah. So it's a very cinematic kind of a situation where you finish what you're doing and you turn and you start running as the lead goblins break through the edge of the forest 300 yards away. So you see them coming through as you turn tail and start to run towards your horses, and they run in and survey the scene. They don't make chase on you right away because they see blood, carnage, headless goblin bodies, and they see the chief's sort of battered chariot. And you see 8 to 10, a cluster of goblins sort of fan out and start looking around the scene as you run off towards your horses. And you're able to get to them without arousing their suspicion.
And I'll put Jenka down next to her horse. And Jessica, react to what I did. Like, it's probably not cool, Jenka, for Tina to take over like that, right? Like, I don't want to push you as a player out of something you're comfortable with.
No. It's I'd probably just glare at Tina and say, I understand what you're trying to do, but mark my words, you better not sleep tonight.
Oh, shit, Jessica. That's crazy. I just looked at you slack-jawed, like, why would you threaten me? What would you have me do? You can't be trusted to not run into a sharp blade.
Accidents happen. But there's no reason for you to treat me like a child. I'm back. I'm at my normal health. There's no reason to throw me over your shoulder like an infant.
I guess as a player, like, what's the impact of all this on our relationship? Like our bonds are going to change here, right? What's interesting to us as players to play, because I sure don't want to have Tina doing that to you in a way that frustrates you as a player. But I also don't want to have like we're supposed to be a party together.
Yeah.
And this would be the sort of thing where we just went adventure together after this, right? So what do we do to try and repair that? Like, let's talk about that as players, and then in character we can try and get to that point. So what does Jenka need out of this relationship, or?
I think she just wants things to go back to normal. As if we went into war and we won the war, and like her death wasn't significant. But I think Tina probably holds it as her responsibility for failing.
Yeah, so like as that happens, like to Jenka, her own death wasn't significant, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But you also understand that to Tina, like the way I've had the bonds constructed is like I'm trying to protect you, and you keep running into death's way. Like, so you saying that like Jenka doesn't even care that she died, like it's just a thing that happened, and let's keep going. Like that tells me like Jenka's not going to change. And Tina, the logical response is either for Tina to get more, like you said, treating like a child, like I'm like, or becoming like apathetic on the other end, and like it's not my job to keep you alive, and we have more of that kind of a thing going on. What's fun to play as players? Like with the choices you've made and the choices I made for my character, how do we get to a fun place to play these characters and not like I don't want to play bickering at you back and forth with you. So is it better if Tina just like abdicates responsibility for you because you just won't care for yourself, so why would I care for you? Or if Tina becomes more trying to be responsible for you? And Josh is part of this conversation too. He's a player as much as we are.
I mean, it could almost become a competition between the two of them. Like, hey, I can take care of myself. No, I can take care of you better, and it becomes this sort of one-upsmanship. It could. I don't know if that'd be fun or interesting though.
I do think as a like player perspective, Jessica enjoys running into danger as Jenka. Like she's the wild card, and that's what she wants to do, and that's fine. I really don't want Tina to be in a position of being able to effectively stop that, but I also don't know how to handle.
I don't want to retcon anything that's happened, so that's not what I'm suggesting. But it would be conceivable that Jenka would say something like, you failed me, or, the other things, almost as like a lingering effect of sort of the attitude and the air of dismissiveness that the afterlife had towards humans. It's like, they're not your problem. They're not my problem. Don't worry about them. And she opens her eyes and is like, ugh, you. That could be an explanation for it that could be explored, or it doesn't have to be.
What are your thoughts, Jessica?
I think I was kind of, when I woke up and made those remarks, I think it was kind of on the same idea as Josh, of like the elders of the elves see humans and everybody else as inconsequential. So it's basically like I just have to take care of myself, and I have these voices and these thoughts that are going to be running through my head, and I don't know how I'm going to act with them or deal with them with Tina. So it might be like all of this attitude is just to kind of hide that bit of knowledge from her, to kind of give myself a little bit of privacy so that she's not always hovering over me. And when those voices pop in or those thoughts pop in, um, I don't get distracted by her as well.
Well, and I'll say, I'll look for interesting narrative places for these voices to give you opportunities to make interesting choices, and maybe farm some XP from it. I won't use them to sort of sow discontent between the two players. That doesn't make sense. It's just not fun. Like the afterlife that you saw clearly was interested in elves as sort of the prime and thought of everything else as less, but it's no fun for me to make them drive a wedge between the two players or the two characters that are playing. So I won't use it for that purpose if that's sort of what you were guarding against.
Makes sense. So Jake has come back from this. You've got this anxiety. You don't know. You know these elves are always watching. They're going to be judging you and compelling you to do shit. And here I'm treating you like a child. So I'll drop you. Buy your horse. And I think Tina's mood, like Tina's in a really bad mood. It's not that me as a player, I'm upset with Jenka, but Tina, well, there's your elf. There's your horse. I got you out of the forest. You know what to do. And I'll turn back to Braxton and kind of look to him, help gather up the heads and say, Braxton, we'll get you home. We'll get you taken care of. You've earned your share of the bounty on these heads. Perhaps we'll come back for more.
Yeah. Yeah. She okay?
Yeah,
okay?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine,
All right.
Braxton.
All right. What do you want me to do with this? And he kind of holds the chief up, and he's got him by the arm, and he's just sort of dangling. You guys want him? Well, I can take him.
I imagine he'll pay, or the village will pay a hefty price for him. He's the leader of them all.
Okay. Yeah.
So what are you doing, Jinka? I'm saddling my horse up, getting ready. Like the goblins could be coming up pretty soon, right? They didn't give immediate chase, but they could be on their way.
Yeah,
they could be.
No,
I think the way that Tina lingers, it's clear that she was kind of like dismissive, but she wants you to go. She doesn't want to break
Part
up the
ways.
Beatles right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not telling you what to do.
I'm just gonna jump onto my horse and say, so headed back to village, right?
Probably a little sigh of relief. Yeah, we need coin.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So you guys make your way back to the village, and it's uneventful. You don't pass any more danger, any more goblins. You don't see sign of any goblins in the woods. Grundy's regaling you with one sort of bawdy, dirty story after another. None of them make a whole. He's making reference to things that you have no familiarity with, just like strange trees, strange foods, weird places that are nowhere on any map you've ever heard of, people that you've never heard of, and talents that you don't know what he's talking about. Although he does, Jenka, seem to hold you in pretty high esteem at the moment.
She's got a talent. Shit.
And you hear him mutter the word magician under his breath a few times. So you make your way back to town. Were you planning on heading back to the tavern that you went to?
I think let's cash in the goblin heads and the captain for the chieftain for whatever we can get,
Okay.
and then I would like to take a shot at a carouse roll at some point, but I probably want to level up first.
Okay. So you get back to the tavern, and just for story's sake, let's say it's like getting into the kind of the good part of the evening at the pub when you get there. It's starting to fill up, and you guys are sort of dragging yourselves in, bathed in gore, essentially. How are you carrying the heads and the body of the chieftain as you walk in?
As we get close to town, I'll pull from my adventuring gear a little rope. Unless Jessica has a different idea, I'd like fashion how you can weave a basket out of rope to hold like clay pots to create handles for it. I'm going to basically, probably having done a lot of rope work like for horse harnesses and stuff, weave like basically a big thing of like a very loose net basically that I drop all the heads in, and I'll have that over one shoulder and the chieftain's corpse over my other shoulder, riding with just guiding the horse with my knees as we go into town. And I'm talking to Braxton about how like, it's important to make a big entrance. Like let them see behind the scenes. Like it's all showmanship.
All right. So when we go in, you go first, or I go first, or Jenka goes first, or we all go in. The door's not too wide. We all can go in if you want. I don't know.
Braxton, you're carrying all the heads. Tina will go in first, and we'll just go in.
All right. All right. So he follows your lead with an armful of heads, and I guess you were carrying them, carrying some in the rope basket that you fashioned as well.
Yes.
Okay. So as you enter the pub, it's as you remember it. The sort of confident looking behind the bar. When you come in the door, a path opens for you. And Grundy sort of lays back against your chest and splays his arms and is acting just like a doll at this point.
Oh, sweet.
And people clear space for you guys walking in with severed heads. Severed goblin heads, which until yesterday, nobody thought there were goblins anywhere within hundreds of miles of here. The bartender looks at you as you come in and is like, well, I'll be damned.
Is this Clara again?
Yeah. Looks like I gotta cough up some coin. Minus Braxton's medical bills, that is.
There's more out in that woods. We got their leader though. The others will take some time to get organized. You might want to price his medical bills pretty fucking reasonably if you want us to help you with your trouble. Help you further.
No, I'm just messing with you. So what do we got?
And
Show me what we have.
Quite a bit more jovial last time I talked to her. So
yeah.
Maybe the tension between Tina and Jenka is still like palpable.
Sure.
I'll just start unslinging like in the middle of the bar, like maybe on a clear table up near the bar. Splat. There's a thankful heads. I don't remember how many we've killed. We had 4 plus the chieftain at the very end there. No, 3. There were 3 in the cart and him. And before that, were there 4?
So there were 2 on the cart pedaling. There was him on top. There were 2 that peeled off to go after Jenka initially. So that's 5. And then there were 4 in the first wave. So that's eight heads plus a chief. So as you're unloading heads onto the bar and kind of lining them up, Clara is just shaking her head and smiling, kind of calls out to whoever cares to listen. It's like, see that, you bastards? Never send a man to do a woman's job. No offense, Braxton.
And I'll call out something to Braxton was brave. He stood in front of these goblins, as you see. He spilled some of his own blood, and he spilled a lot of goblin blood too.
And people like cheers and are pushing drinks at him and clapping him on the back. And he's just sort of awkwardly kind of nodding, and it's got a goofy grin on his face. He appreciates the praise that you're heaping on him for sure. So what was our agreement? Was it 10 gold ahead?
25.
25 ahead. That sounds like something I'd say. 25 ahead.
When you don't believe there's orcs or goblins in the woods, yeah.
Well, what about this one? And she's kind of starting to paw over the chief's body and looking at the goggles on his face and reaching for the pouches that are on him.
I want to just kind of gently touch her hand and say, some of those might blow up. You might want to just be careful with those.
But with my 25 for him, this is all inclusive, right?
For his head. Do you want the pouches? I'll look at Jenka. I have no idea what that shit's worth, and it's kind of up your...
You don't know what's in the pouches. The only thing that you've seen is a dagger and goggles.
Yeah.
He's the leader, so I would say he's worth 50. As for the pouches and all that, each one will come at a different cost. Some of them are explosive, some of them are acid, some potions.
Now, right now, Jenka's talking out of her ass, right? Like we don't actually know. It might just be beef jerky. Like we haven't checked him.
Yeah.
Unless you want to take time to check him first, see if you know what he's got.
No, it's just me talking out of my butt.
Yeah.
She kind of reaches her hand towards the goggles, doesn't touch them. She's mindful of the fact that you kind of gesture her hand away. She's looking at them. She's kind of looking them over. 50 gold all inclusive.
Look at Tina. What do you think?
Or I'll give you 25 and you can have whatever's 25 like all the others. And you can have whatever's on him. I'll just take his head.
So it's just out of character. Actually, Tina's probably like doing trying to carry the one, and but we're looking at 8 goblins
200.
plus the chieftain, so 250 total.
Mm-hmm.
If you give her everything that's on him.
Yeah.
Or 225 and you loot him.
I kind of look to Jenka, and I'm like with my eyes into I'm willing to take split 250. I don't think Tina hasn't had that kind of money in her pocket in a long time, and it seems like Claire's actually about to pay up, which holy shit.
Okay. 250 and 2 pints of beer.
She kind of gives you a grin. 250 and 3 pints of beer. And she pushes one towards Braxton.
And if it helps your custom tonight, I'd be glad to tell the story. Let your folks know how Braxton did and what we did to take these goblins down. But for now, could you take a room out of my cut?
Sure.
I need to bathe.
Have a room on me.
All right.
People are going to be telling stories about tonight for a while. It's going to be good for business. I think these heads are going to go on that wall.
Good wall for it. Tina's wanting to level up. And Jessica, have you counted all your negatives, all your misses?
I think I had 3 this game, so I'm at 14 right now.
Nice.
Cool. Well, do you guys want to do? I mean, I figure we're going to wrap now. I don't know if you guys wanted to, or you wanted to do the carouse move.
Maybe that's the thing to start the next game with,
Okay.
because it can actually, depending on what happens, it can instigate play as well.
Got it. So I don't know if you want to do the level up move now before we do end of session.
If we level up, if we do end of session, we have the potential to get 1 for alignment, 1 for bond, and 3. So we could get 5, which would put Jessica up to 19 if we got all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And she might be able to get 2 levels tonight.
Okay.
For the next play. So do you want to try doing that, and then we can look at leveling Jessica?
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool.
So I'd say do end of session, and then I'll let you know, or I'll make my changes on Tina as I level her up.
Cool. End of session. Let me get to my right queue here. Okay. Do we resolve bonds first?
That sure could be a thing.
Sure. Let's do that first.
You know, Jessica or me to go?
Go ahead, Tina.
Tina. Jenka veils the freaking menace. She'd die in a minute if I don't keep my eye on her.
I think that's she did die.
But you kept your eye on me, though.
I'm going to say that's resolved and say even death doesn't want Jenka. I must keep myself safe around her. Now, I cannot leap into the flames to save her. Yeah. So that's my new bond. Even death doesn't want Jenka. I cannot leap into the flame to save her.
Okay. And do you mark XP for resolving that? Right?
Yeah, I'll mark 1 XP.
Okay. Jenka, you want to resolve any bonds with Tina?
So I have Tina and I have a con running, and I think that one got resolved with the gold that we got for the heads. Would you agree, Tina?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that'll give me an XP, and I'll have to come up with a bond when we come back next time.
Cool.
And it could be you could even do like 2 bonds. I've got 2 with you just to kind of keep a couple directions pushing with you.
Yeah. The other one is Tina owes me their life, whether they admit it or not. And that's not resolved just yet, so.
Got it. Okay, end of session. Did we learn something new and important about the world?
We learned about the elf black gate.
Yeah, Elysium, the elven afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Which is totally off the top of my head.
I liked it. Mm-hmm. I like that you also gave Jenka the opportunity, like, no, you just come here and, like, from a place of safety, learn everything. It's like, nope, I'm going to go back into the thick of it. It's more the adventure than the learning, I think, we're going to learn about Jenka.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it, or the impression I got was that, like, knowledge without effort isn't valuable. Like, it's not valuable unless you have to work for it. I don't know. I could be totally off, but
Master Elliot would agree.
Is he the one that asked me if I was hurting myself?
Yeah.
Did we overcome a notable monster or enemy?
Yeah,
I would say yes.
Pretty notable.
Death? Is that a notable?
Yeah, I think it's sure. Um, did we loot a memorable treasure? Well, I don't know. I don't think
The
so. I
chieftain,
mean,
I
the
would almost
treasure.
argue. I
Yeah,
planned to loot the cart. I just didn't because we had to hightail it out of there.
I was shocked you didn't loot the chieftain. But
Yeah, there would have been cool stuff on him, but I think like it would have made sense to keep him, but also it would have made sense to team like that's money. Like that's a shit. Like, also, in
yeah,
my Herculean appetites is like riches and like
sure,
so.
Well, my thing was, I already died once, and I know these things can be explosive and possibly kill us again. So I'd
sure.
rather somebody else die trying to figure them out as opposed
I
to us.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. So I think we mark 3 more XP for those.
And then
So you're
alignment
all
would be the
stockpiling. Oh yeah,
and mine didn't trigger my neutral alignment. Teach someone the ways of my people. I had a moment where I could have really worked with Braxton on like funeral rites, but I just wanted to do something private with her. Braxton's an outsider, so I
yeah,
didn't want to teach him. I don't think I didn't trigger mine at all.
yeah. And I want to work on integrating him in a more meaningful way, other than just as kind of an afterthought. Um, so
Mine's discover something about a magical mystery.
Elysium.
yeah,
Learned about the Black Gates. You learned that the elven ancestors and elves that haven't been born yet are watching you.
Okay.
yeah.
No, do you not think that
Yeah.
would qualify?
Yeah.
I absolutely think it does. Yeah. All right. So you guys are all like level 15 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 23 XP, so it's gonna be 8 and 9 is 17. I'll have 6 left over.
I'm at
And how,
19, so I'll up to 3 and have 2 left over? Okay.
so I don't remember how leveling up works in this game exactly, but we don't have to do it tonight if you guys don't want to, but we can.
I'm good for it. I'm actually on spring break now, so I don't work tomorrow, but Jessica does work. Do you want to go through it real quick, Jessica? Or
No, I'd rather wait until later.
okay.
Okay.
Maybe what I can do is I'll make my choices. Do you want to stick around, Josh, or do you want to hang up and come back in a few minutes if you want to keep going? I'll walk Jessica down and come back on. I'll do mine, and then we can kind of walk through it next time so that Jessica see what I
Sure.
did and give her a chance to do
Yeah,
hers.
that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. I'll just Cassie's doing work downstairs, so I'll just mute myself and hang out, and whenever you come back, you're back.
Okay, cool. It's 11:15. I'll be back like 11:30. Is that cool? Maybe
Sure.
earlier. Alrighty. Thanks.
All right.
All
Night,
right.
Jessica.
Night, Josh. Bye.
Welcome back, sir.
Yay!
Alright.
Now I need to figure out what to do for new moves.
So how does this work? You get hit points, right?
No, you get to, and it's on the special moves handout.
Yeah.
So maybe it's actually good to do it in the order that's there. But you basically get to raise one attribute. If the attribute raises Constitution, because your hit points is based off Constitution, then you get 1 hit point.
Okay.
But only if you do Constitution. So you spend the XP that you need to level. For Jessica, if you are the wizard, you also get to add a new spell to your spell book. So you might think about what she's doing. She's about to get 2 new spells. So you might think about what she's doing, like unlocking things on her new devices, or kind of talk to her about how that comes about. You can also freely add kind of equipment that she could kind of fiddle around with, like to give her a plausible excuse for why she gets new spells. Or even, the standard wizard who's not doing it through technology, they might find a scroll as part of loot in the game, and you can transcribe that in your book. Even though you didn't level, you still add a spell that way. So
right.
You choose. So wizards add a spell. Everybody else choose one of your stats, increase it by 1. And up above that, you're gonna choose a new advanced move from your class. So I get basically +2 in my stats.
Which stats are you bumping?
Got an option to bring Constitution as high as 18, which is the cap on any. I could bring Charisma up to 15, which is stay to +1.
You
I
bump
think
strength.
I'm going to bump Strength by 1, which will put me at a 2, +2. And I'm going to bump... Do you want to bump Intelligence or Charisma? Dex would give me a +1, but I don't know that I necessarily want to get a bunch of pluses, because that's how you get your XP.
Yeah.
If
you bumped Con, you'd be ready for a +3 on your next level up, right?
Yeah, and I'm using Defend and What Are You Waiting For quite a bit, but I also don't necessarily want to get to a +3 like that.
Right. Alters
really hard to get a miss once you get it. Yeah. So 1 into Strength. I think 1 into Intelligence, just to get rid of that -1. And I think she's starting to feel a little bit more responsibility and like a little bit more world-wise. So yeah. So I added 1 to Strength, 1 Intelligence. No effect on my hit points. My load would have gone up because my Strength went to +2, but that's probably automatically done here. Yeah, load already went up to 9. And then it comes down to moves, and I'm looking at Barbarian moves. One I can do is Appetite for Destruction. I can look at the Fighter, Bard, and Thief class list, and I can take non-multi-class moves from those classes. I can do it once, so I can choose one class and do that. From Barbarian itself, I kind of like Con of Cons. Your hirelings always accept the gratuitous fulfillment of one of my appetites as payment. So if we wanted to have Braxton or other hirelings around, that would mean like as long as we're doing like what makes Tina happy, even like Grundy might become a hireling at this point, even though in the fiction he's like hired us. If we could find a way to keep him happy, even though we're not necessarily making progress toward the wall and Castle Rugna, if we could make him happy, he might stick around while we kind of plausibly are moving that direction to find out how to get them home.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Smash. When you hack and slash on a 12+, you deal your damage and choose something physical your target has. They lose it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Eye for weakness is cool. When I discern realities, I can add what here is weak or vulnerable to the list of questions I can ask. I'm going to look real quick at the fighter, bard, and thief. Because I know last time we talked about thief with like trap experts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what bard has real quick.
A good day to die is a pretty badass ability.
That has to go from level 6 to 10 though.
Oh, that's true. I didn't notice that was an advanced.
And again, those +1s ongoing are not bad, but I tend to go for things that are not necessarily just +1s.
Yeah.
Changes the die rolls. They're in there for a reason. They're not bad, but so when you take a move from another class, you can take like for the bardic move. I could choose like arcane art, for instance. I'm not going to. They have charming and open. When you speak frankly with someone, you can ask their player a question from the list below. They must answer it truthfully. Then they may ask me a question from the list, which I must answer truthfully. So that also applies to GM characters. I can ask them like, "Who do you serve? What do you wish I would do?" Things like that, and that compels you to kind of tell me the truthful answer. But then it opens up you to ask me like, "What's Tina's real motivation here?"
Mm-hmm.
From the Bard list, also from the advanced moves, Metal Hurlant. When you shout with great force or play a shattering note, choose a target and roll +con on a 10+. The target takes 1d10 damage and is deafened for a few minutes.
That's pretty cool.
On a 7 to 9, it still damages your target, but it's out of control. So like for Tina, like not really a musician, but I do yell a lot. I can just like ki shout and do something like that.
Duelist's parry is pretty cool. Thematically would make sense for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can take from Bard. What else?
Fighter and Thief. You go to Fighter.
Here we go. And bars lift gates.
I was actually thinking of that one when he had the cart and like the pit crew's trying to fix that one wheel. I was thinking it might be kind of cool to go and just shatter the other wheel. And Ben Barzia played perfect use for that. For just doing like feats of strength to impress people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could work into Tina really well.
Interrogator.
Yeah. Although I have been working strength or charisma up with her a little bit.
Yeah.
I think she's at a +1.
If you had Merciless, you would just be a I don't know, a beast.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's again kind of like with the +1s. I'm not necessarily looking to just do a shitload damage.
Yeah.
I've had a few people really do the whole min-maxing idea and build characters, especially in the online group, that just handle all the problems too quickly.
It seems like
less exciting.
It seems like you'd also plateau really quickly because now you're not earning XP.
Yeah, that can happen too if you're not rolling fails and you're only getting end of session basically. But as the GM, I'd rather be able to come up with things that challenge you. And so for his character, for instance, I would always try and come up with like compelling reasons for him to hear the villain's soliloquy out or something other than just direct combat, because he could just kill things. He was a fighter and he had all sorts of stuff that like gave him like he was rolling like 2d10 plus a d6 or something for damage. It was crazy. and I don't necessarily do that. Ironhide is good. It gives me an additional armor. Seeing red is good. I really like from the fighter list, which I can't do the advanced moves, the 6+10 moves, but Evil Eye. Yeah, Evil Eye. I've seen that one used really well. When you enter combat, you roll plus charisma on 10+, hold 2, on a 7-9, hold 1. Spin my hold to make eye contact with an NPC present who freezes or flinches and can't act until I break it off. You just hold their attention while the battle rages around them.
That's cool. There's a thief move that thematically would make sense for you. Wealth and taste.
Get out of thief. Yeah. If we want to really compel people to either attack us or suck up to us, I could bring the goblin chieftain body in, show it. Oh, he's got all these pouches. I mean, that could really help drive up how much people are willing to pay for the shit that we have.
Yeah. Or you could almost use it as a taunt,
Yeah.
in an additional taunt in battle. If you think your most valuable possession, for example, is your two-handed sword.
I think Tina needs to end up naming her sword. Kind of brings me back to the fighter's signature weapon. Maybe I'll just make a signature weapon out of that sword.
Yeah. Let me look at how that even works. Oh, nice. Well, you already have messy and forceful.
Yeah, I don't think thief is doing it. Let me see fighter again. So I've got my two-handed sword. That would be it. It's already close reach, so I'd choose 2 enhancements. Probably take sharp plus 2 piercing. What's a thing that would glow in the presence of?
I don't know what would make sense based on your sort of heritage. Grumpy elves.
Little golems.
Just constantly glowing. Hey man, I'm trying to play dead here. Turn off the sword.
So maybe sharp and...
I think the idea of hooks and spikes is interesting, not because of the additional damage, just because I think narratively it would be really cool to have a giant sword covered in like nasty bits. Like even if you didn't take that as an enhancement, I just think that's a neat thing to say about your weapon.
I was like the orc swords in the Lord of the Rings movie, where they have that kind of hook at the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
Grab something and rip them off a horse, or
yeah. I mean, you could add versatile, and I mean, you've tried to throw it before, or you could just say it's like an extra long two-handed sword. Like it's just obscenely huge.
Yeah, if I added reach onto it, that would be pretty beneficial. It would let me keep things at bay while I cut at them, and they'd have to, move in on me.
Right.
Or if I'm fighting things with reach, it would give me the chance to not have to move in on them at least. I mean, that would also be the. Maybe
What
that's
is the? Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, what does the precise tag do?
You can use your dexterity to wield it.
Oh, so you don't want that.
No.
And +2 to piercing would mean when you're thrusting with it, is it +2 to hit and to damage?
No, piercing is to cut through armor. And so if somebody has up to 2 armor, I would just slice through it.
So it would basically ignore armor for anything 2 or below.
Yeah.
Got it.
And if something has like 4 armor, I only have to face 2 armor against them.
Got it.
So let's see, it's close. My sword is currently close, +1 damage, messy, and forceful. I think I might make it. I think I'm gonna do signature weapon. Sharp and versatile. Reach. And
I'm sorry, I probably just moved this off where you want it to be.
oh, I'm not looking. It's good. Nice. There we go. So that's that. I'm gonna add signature weapon.
Is that the first one you picked, or did you pick something else as well?
I haven't picked the other one yet. I'm really leaning toward the one where my con of cons, where my dudes would my hirelings would take fulfillment of one of my goals as payment. So basically, the way the hirelings work is whenever you recruit somebody, whenever you take on a hireling, they have something they want out of it. And like Braxton, he just wanted to get back safely. Probably, I don't know. He wasn't really promised money. Clara told him to go, so he wants to make Clara happy. If we had been doing something that like would have displeased Clara, he might lose loyalty. And when they get below a certain loyalty, they just take off. When we ask them to do something dangerous or foolhardy, they get to roll plus loyalty to see whether or not they comply. And so loyalty becomes kind of a sliding scale of how likely they are to do your stuff. And you have to pay the cost reasonably to keep them around at all.
You know, I like Con of Cons a lot. There's one barbarian move that I am reading right now that I just remembered that I really love, but it's your character. But I think the upper hand is an awesome move, just in terms of how it affects the game. It's the one that flips the script on last breath rolls, to where you're the one offering me the bargain.
Let me see that one here. Because I already barbarians by default get a +1 to that roll. They're the only class that do. Let me see what that is here.
Oh, never mind. You already have it. You start with all these. Never mind. I thought you had to pick one of the. So.
Oh yeah. No, upper hand is one of those string ones. Let me just text Jessica back that I got her message. Let's see. I also like what's best in life, just thematically. I don't necessarily want it for Tina, but
I like Mark of Might. I know you can't get it yet, but I think that's a cool one too. It's one of the advanced moves.
Mm-hmm. I think what I'm going to do is take Smash for now.
Mhm.
And then if I'm pretty close to getting another one anyway, another level. There we go. If we decide we really want to do the hirelings, like keep them around, then I'll pick up Con of Cons maybe for like level 3 or 4,
Sure.
or level 4 or 5. So basically, what I've done, I've gone through. I've added 1 to Strength and 1 to Intelligence. The Strength did bump me up to a +2, and the Intelligence bumped me from a -1 to a 0. Then I've added 2 moves: Signature Weapon and Smash. Signature Weapon affected my sword, so now it's got +2 piercing and it has reach. Smash is there in the window as well.
I may need you, as we play, to sort of give me a little guidance on how to incorporate the reach effect into the game. And I like if it were a traditional D&D model where I'm triggering actions and you're triggering actions back and blah blah blah, that I think I would know how to do it. Like I would know how to make enemies be in a position to where they would need to make rolls at a disadvantage or with difficulty. But I don't know. I can't conceive in the moment of how to how to sort of devise situations where your reach becomes an advantage that you can use.
Okay. Particularly if we flip it first and look at it from the GM side using reach versus somebody who doesn't. Let's say I'm fighting a Minotaur who has reach, this great big battle axe, and I'm fighting with like a short sword and I don't have reach. As I try to close the distance, he can keep me back with his axe, and so I need to find some way to overcome that as part of the ability to even make an attack. Like Hack and Slash has the trigger. You have to make an attack against the enemy. You have to actually be in a position to make that attack to even trigger the move. And if their reaches keep me back, I need to mitigate that. It's often going to be a defy danger roll,
Okay.
or fictional positioning using the terrain, or I'm willing to just get cut. I'm going to charge in and attack him and just deal damage to me. I'm going to get in there regardless. So you'll get cut, but you get into range. So for a Minotaur to hold me out, you create basically an obstacle to get through that reach. So that's for the GM having reach and the player not. If the GM has reach and the player also has reach, now that Minotaur is swinging that big ass axe around, well, I can stand at some distance and use my reach weapon, so we can trade blows without having to close in past reach. But importantly, my sword also has close range, which means when something gets right up in your face, I can keep using it, whereas his axe might not. I kind of get too close for him for his axe to be a really valuable weapon. Now he's hitting me with the haft of it instead of swinging it like normal. So having reach and close could benefit me against somebody who only has reach. Now, if I have reach and all of a sudden I'm fighting these goblins that have their little short swords or hand axes and they don't have reach, as they come charging in, unless they have a strategy to handle it, I might just deal damage once to them as they make their way in. So now they really need to swarm me and come, flank me and things like that. You make me choose which side you're going to protect, because now they're all going to flank you. You're an obvious threat with reach.
That makes sense.
It's not something like, it really shouldn't make it to where I'm untouchable, but just think when you're attacking me, how is the enemy going to respond to my reach? They're going to do something to either try and disarm me or get in close without being seen. So all of a sudden, I walk in an ambush and they're already at my ankles, or
yeah. But it's definitely, I mean, you used a level up move to get it, so it should be of some advantage to you.
Yes.
At the same time.
But primarily just fictional position advantage. It's not a mechanical advantage so much as
No, that makes sense. Cool. Well, I hope that way that the last breath thing went didn't create some sort of strife between Tina and Jenka that's weird. Like as players, I think you guys worked it out well. I wasn't trying to present some sort of a rift though, so hopefully.
No, it didn't come out of you that at all. I thought you handled it really well. Actually, I liked the Elysium thing. I think Jessica was a little frustrated. I think she misinterpreted what you were saying to be like now they're going to be just giving her orders all the time, and she's like going to lose agency over her character.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that as we were leaving. I said, no, he's going to come up with opportunities like to make it fun and interesting, not to tell you what you have to do and compel you how you play Jenka. And I've been really careful to try and be clear with her that like Tina's judgment is not me as a player telling her like quit running in.
Right.
When Tina's telling you that, that's the character telling Jenka that. But like I've told her like it's fucking funny when you run in, like play how you want.
Well, and I think it's really interesting that she said from the outset that she's almost she's very non-traditional and she's sort of an outsider in her own culture. Mm-hmm. And I was sort of trying to play off that. Like it makes sense that she would be more aligned with you and with humans and with other races than she would be with kind of the stereotypical racist stuffy elves. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to try to create some tension there. Because I think that's a really interesting character idea. So no, I'm not. I hope that I don't do that. That wasn't.
And you definitely haven't yet. I think she was just kind of maybe a little tired, and that's what she was thinking. And then I was trying to be really careful, and I was like, I'm gonna pick you up and throw you over my shoulder, and feel free to like react. Like I'm not just able to do this, but like I'm gonna throw you over my shoulder. And then she lets me kind of walk out of the scene. And then when she gets down, she's super pissed off about it. And I was trying to get to her like, I know when I start doing that, that's why I'm very careful to tell you, like, react to it then. Right. You don't just have to let me treat Jenka like a child and then get mad at it. But by the same token, I don't want to diminish when she tells me, like, you better sleep lightly. Like, well, if you really want to say that, like, that's a thing that, like, Tina has to respond to. So I think she was a little bit frustrated. And then I was... I thought being careful to not like take player agency from her, but she wasn't maybe comfortable responding to what I was doing when I was doing it. So I think I provoked some of that too, but she'll be fine. I think when she sees how you start implementing it, and it'll make Tina fun. I think she also felt a little silly because she was saying that she should have drank her potion before she died, and she didn't know she was gonna get hit for 6 life. I even told her, like, as she was stepping into that scene, I kind of figured like, well, it's just wrap it up here. Just kill him and we're done. And they're like, oh shit, you got hit for enough to kill you. Like the gravity of it kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah, tonight's session didn't go at all like I thought it would. Like I haven't planned much. Most of what I've done has been just like, well, this happens. Mm-hmm. I have ideas, but we haven't gotten to any of them yet. But I mean, I figured that you guys would flee before the other party got there. I wasn't trying to design like a really, really difficult combat that would, that would result in character death. But it's always a possibility, I guess. I was clearly unprepared for the last breath part because, and it was fortunate that her connection went bad because I was like, well, crap, what's the bargain going to be? It's got to be meaningful enough to where she's deciding, well, do I want to do this or not? It's got to have an effect. Mm-hmm. As you guys were trying to fix it, I was Googling, like, what have other people done? What are last breath ideas? And so many of them were like, now you have to come back as, an agent of death and you have to harvest souls. I'm like, that's just dumb. That's so tropey. I don't know.
I thought you did a good one. And I thought you've done really cool stuff with like the flavor of the chieftain and the different things he's doing. It's felt very organic and fun. So if you're improvising it fully, kudos. It's been good.
Cool.
It needs to be, and this is something I've really learned with Dungeon World over D&D and things. Death has got to be on the table. If we're making choices and we know that we're going to be protected from them, the choices don't have a whole lot of meaning.
Yeah, it's
and
not
so,
fun.
Yeah, and so death has to be on the table, and that's one thing I like about Roll20 or anything where like the rolls are open, and especially this is GM doesn't even roll. You had 6 hit points left, and you took 6 hit points of damage. Like, can you mitigate it? No, you're dead. Like, it's not you deciding she died. You set up a situation. She rolled some dice, and she died. I mean, she was in a position where you did the most reasonable thing, and it killed her.
Oh, I think I've got you back. I lost you for a minute.
Well, I said a lot of really smart things.
No, what I was going to say is I would be lying if part of the reason that I came up with that idea was because you've been getting a little more XP than her, and you have that beginning of session way to farm XP. And it's like, what's a bargain that I can give her that's also a chance for her to earn some XP if she wants to do it?
Yeah. That's still a good thing for her. And I think part of why she's not getting as much XP, and maybe it'd be good to reread the bonds and alignment at the beginning. I call on both of us to do that, or I can even suggest it. If she thinks of the bonds and if she thinks of her alignment, that's kind of 2 XP per session that she can get.
Mm-hmm.
She does a really good job at doing things that are not necessarily based on her scores, and so she risks and fails quite a few moves, and that's good. That's a good way to get XP. But alignment and bond would be really good things for her to pay attention to. Pretty much every session we've played, I think I've revised a bond with her. I kind of push those. I think she's not comfortable with it, and bonds don't work the same way. And I think Monster of the Week, I'm trying to remember how they even work there. I think there's history there. There's no,
it's not
no HX. And so, I think as she gets kind of more comfortable, and we've played some other Dungeon World before, but not really campaigns where we've come back to them, same characters over and over. So maybe if she understood those aspects a little bit better, she'd be pushing them.
Well, and I think I was conscious of this, but I didn't really know how to fix it. I would imagine it was probably a bummer for her to, essentially all this session she had almost no spells, and she's the wizard. So what do you do? Like, I guess I'm gonna try to poorly hack and slash again. She didn't really have a effective offensive spell to use. She just sort of had to be creative with light and with different things, which I thought she really was. But I think gaining 2 levels and being able to add sort of 2 more spells to her arsenal will make Jinka a more fun character to play.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. Even when she has spells, she does run in and do a lot of hack and slash. So I don't think it was on us if we wanted to stop and do a rest and let her get her spells back. There would have been opportunities for us to do that. So it's not like you tricked us into a situation where she didn't have much magic available. But you're right. I think as she opens, she'll get 1 more 1st level spell, and then at 3rd level, she'll be able to take a 3rd level spell. So all of a sudden, she can have Fireball or Mimic.
Mm-hmm.
She was thinking of, I think, creative ways to try and use Unseen Servant. They just were things that specifically can't do.
Right.
I liked how she used light as a distraction. Like she's very creative and came up with some stuff. But you're right that she didn't have her magic missile available. Or
yeah, it just seems like it would be, with any sort of caster, it's just going to be more fun as you have more options of things to cast, even if it's not just an offensive, attack. It's just you can have more flavor and more variety of what you can do. So hopefully,
it's a good thing they've done in 5e, Dungeons and Dragons 5e, is there's cantrips that do minor damage, but they do damage. And so a wizard that runs out of their 2 spells at first level doesn't just run out of magic and have to go in there with the dagger and start fighting. They can sit back and plink with the small spells and lets them stay thematically tied. They lose some effectiveness, but they're still doing wizardly things instead of now they're just a shitty rogue.
Well, and I maybe shouldn't tell you this, but I will, just because you're super helpful in terms of what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, what can be done better. Like, I didn't want to lead you to loot the body, but I also had some stuff on there that I thought, oh, like, this is some good bones to throw to Jenka, so that if she runs out of her spells, she has some little tricks up her sleeve of like little devices she can use, like little kind of flavorful magical items, or even just utility magical items to use not in battle. Like the goggles were essentially, and I don't think I'm going to bring these back out and use them somewhere else, so I'll tell you what they are. But they were essentially what the D&D equivalent of an identify spell would be. So like, you can look at a magical item, and over whatever amount of time we all decide, it just sort of all becomes clear of like, oh, that's this. And you can sort of know what's valuable and what's not, and what to covet and what not. The dagger was special, and then there was a couple things in a couple of the pouches that may have been helpful and may not. But I liked that you guys made a choice I didn't expect, and so we, whatever those things are, may come up in another opportunity, or maybe won't.
I think, and it could be. I was very interested. I think last session, the guy that we hit that had the explosives on him. Like, I clearly, there's stuff here that I want. The cart, I really wanted to steal that, and it was too small for me. Tina would eventually be disappointed and not be able to ride it, but she wanted just try. If you want to bring something like that back in, one of the villagers gets hurt fucking with it, and Clara get rid of this shit. We don't want to lose anybody else. Or let us know, oh, she just sold it to somebody. This shit's really valuable, and give us a chance to bid back on some of it. Buy it back But yeah, I think you put it in front of us. I made the decision that for me, money was important, and I turned to Jessica, and she went with it. So
and it wasn't a wrong decision. Like that, those maybe the fact that you sold it means those things weren't even there. Like, who knows? I don't know. But it was just I'm towing the line of not wanting to lead you too much and say, oh, there's great stuff on there. You should, you see a shape in the pouch that looks like something you might want. Like, that's lame. So I think it's just a matter of putting the opportunities out there, and whatever you decide to go with, you go with. And if not, then, like we've said a million times, we're sort of building the story together, and what's there and what's not depends on the decisions we all make. And, if there's an opportunity to give one of you guys some sort of opportunity to have a little flavor or an advantage here or there, or maybe a cursed thing or disadvantage here or there, based on your preferences and your moves or your appetites, those will just come up.
I think that's kind of the best thing you can do, is provide opportunities. Like, she's a technophile wizard. You put some kind of weird tech in there. Maybe it's even a good, player-to-player conversation to have at the start of the next session. Peek behind the curtain. The reason I put those in there was it's the sort of thing that I thought Jenka might be intrigued by. Jessica, that's what I was thinking. Do you want to see more stuff like that in the game? More opportunities? Did you not like it because it wasn't the kind of steampunk elfin stuff? Like, the goblin tech is just not impressive, so you didn't want it? Or because she might not have even been thinking of those terms, or maybe if it had been like they had recaptured and repurposed some elven tech, kind of like the Warhammer orcs do, maybe if it was that, then she would have been more intrigued. So just having that conversation up front, that's what I was trying to do. You didn't respond to it. so much of Dungeon World is you throw out seeds. Most of them we're gonna miss, and the ones that sprout we'll all chase together. And
Cool.
so that might just be a seed that she missed. And but yeah, I think you did the right thing putting it in there for the right reasons, and then we just kind of figure out from her if it just wasn't compelling or if she didn't realize it was an option to pursue that.
Cool. Well, hopefully we can use this dark bargain thing too, or this last breath bargain too, to just make some neat stories happen. You know, I don't want to make her character less fun to play necessarily. So.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure you won't, and I let her know she was worried. She said something like, "Well, every time she comes over to play on Sunday nights now, she's gonna have things whispering at her." And I said, "Well, when I do it with Samantha, we're being creepy on purpose. That's not necessarily what you're running into here, and you always have the option of going with it, refusing it, and talking to the GM and saying this isn't fun. Let's change what we're doing."
That's actually a great point that I hadn't thought of. That now I'm making her two characters more similar. So if we want to play with it and change it, or come up with some other mechanic or some other idea, I'm open to it.
Instead of thinking in terms of like retconning what happened, not that you said that you would, but what might happen is Jessica says she doesn't like that as a option. Like, as a player, I don't like the bargain I made. I don't want to play through that happening. She is the wizard. She has the ritual available first and foremost. Like, maybe she can make herself invisible to the spirits. Like, maybe that's a thing that can be done.
Yeah.
Even if it was, if it was Tina and I didn't want to make the ritual, I didn't have ritual as an option, that could become an interesting quest for us to do. Is, well, how do you escape? How do you try and escape from death? And it shouldn't be easy. It should be something that takes a lot of time and attention and resources. And like, yeah, death is powerful, but yeah, you can always make it. There's rumor of a sage over on this continent from a cult of death, and they claim they're immortal because death can't find them. Go see what they have to offer. So it can a new adventure could await us there. I'm not worried that you're going to do something crappy with it, though. I think Jessica was just part of it was just a kind of a long day, and caught her by surprise. I think she was maybe a little bit embarrassed that Jake actually died like that. I think that's where she reacted maybe poorly to me treating her like a child there.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got a week to figure it out, and I think we talked about it in the right sort of vein from the front end. So there shouldn't be any big surprises or,
And that is kind of the big thing I learned from that game forever ago, where it went into PvP and it just turned into a bunch of like frustrated half moves getting blocked and no progress. Since there's any sort of beginning to conflict like that between characters, I just stop and talk to the players like, well, what do we want to get out of this? Like, don't even get into the whole move. And then if it does, like, we do want to oppose each other, we're friends, we're happy to do this, like our characters are opposing, figure it out in like one move. Don't let a move get halfway there and then you just keep going back and forth. Just let's let one die roll hit it. I'll roll a move, you oppose it, we agree to move on with whatever happens there. So
cool. Well, I'm having fun running, so hopefully it's going well. And
I'm enjoying. I'm ready to jump into Monster of the Week, but I also really enjoy playing, and I'm ready to keep going with this for a while. Like whatever point you want to break at, I would at least like to level these up with Jessica, but we don't necessarily need to start another story arc, but we definitely can.
I'm down. I'm enjoying running, but I also really enjoy playing, so I'm down with whatever. If you guys want to talk about it throughout the week or what you prefer, and we can go from there.
Very good. I'll chat with Jessica tomorrow then, and we'll kind of let you know what we're thinking. But either way, I'm glad that we're doing these Sunday nights, and
Yeah.
gotta keep it up. I actually today played a little D&D. I don't know if I told you with Piero and David.
Yeah.
That was kind of going interesting too. I don't know that we're going to be able to play very often because Piero has kind of a weird schedule, and David and I have very strict schedules. But
I haven't played D&D probably since we played D&D years and years and years ago. But 5e, I mean, just from what I've seen online of, I guess both Critical Role and then also just other like Matt Colville stuff and random YouTube stuff, seems like a great system. Seems like it'd be really fun. Seems kind of rulesy compared to what we're doing, but seems intuitive in a way that D&D never was. D&D was always really crunchy and kind of you had to play a lot to figure it out. And from what I've seen, it seems more intuitive.
And because it's a lot less simulationist and more story, like narrative. It used to be just combat took forever because you're trying to figure out how to add up all the different bonuses and you're trying to min-max that stuff. By stripping all those pluses and minuses out and just going to advantage and disadvantage, like there's things that really streamline. Anytime the dice come out, it's so much more streamlined and there's so much less momentum lost. That's what I like about in Dungeon World. It kind of goes the other way. When the dice roll, it automatically introduces momentum. It seemed like in D&D when the dice roll, it stopped momentum and it made you sit there and kind of do math, roll the dice. Half the time you miss and you feel like you've wasted your action.
Yeah.
D&D still has that. I had a couple rounds where my attacks missed. And like, well, okay, I get nothing out of this round. We circle back around. At least in Dungeon World, if you roll the dice, something happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, there's no THACO anymore. I remember that word, but I don't know that I really even understood it back then.
2-hit armor class 0.
Right. Yeah, I know that, but and you want low armor class in old D&D, right? And now you want high.
Yeah, that was a weird thing with AD&D second edition that we were playing with that had THACO. Different systems were based off of different rulings, and so the armor class system you could get down to like negatives, and you had to roll a high die to hit a low armor class. With 3.0 and on, they've gotten onto the D20 system where you need a high number to hit a high armor class. A higher armor class requires a higher hit roll. Like all the different scales for saving throws, for attacks, skill checks. That all bases off of just a scale from 0 plus, and you roll a 20-sided die, and it having a consistent die mechanic throughout the game makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Well, someday when we get through Monster of the Week and we get through Dungeon World, it'd be fun to play D&D, but I don't want to add a third game and muddy up the waters. I want to progress through what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But I will say, the sort of my background, and not that I haven't played games until we started playing in years and years, but sort of my instincts from being an old D&D player, it's pushing me, and it's fun to push back against those running this game. But there's so many times when I want to be like, roll to see if you notice this, or I want to throw challenges at you and ask for rolls. And so that's why some of the time I just like say what you see, and then I lay back to see what you guys are going to do, because I don't want to suggest what you do. And the next way for me to inch the action forward would be to say, well, roll to see if you notice this, or roll to see if this thing notices you. So I'm out of my comfort zone a bit without having that method to push things forward.
Calling for saving throws was a huge thing for me to try and get past running Powered by the Apocalypse and Dungeon World specifically. Calling for saving throws, and the other one was getting away from initiative based. I used to have I think a particular scene that I remember. The PCs were all kind of spread across a river and a small island in the middle of a river, and there were some archers moving. Some archers had them kind of pinned down, and I was trying to go through letting the players do their things, and then if the archers had shot at one player, I was letting the other players kind of get through their stuff without the danger of the archers. And in my head, I wasn't giving the enemy archers an initiative, but I was only letting them kind of make attacks against one person who risked it. And a player, actually it was Travis that was the other player you had that PvP scene with. He pointed out the archers aren't only shooting at the first person; they're constantly barraging arrows whenever something picks up. And so instead of only letting the archers shoot one of us, anytime any of us get out of cover, we're defying danger, we're doing something, or we're just getting shot. Like, whenever somebody acts, if an enemy is in a position to respond, that enemy's going to respond. They're not going to wait their turn and only respond against one person.
Yeah.
So starting to understand initiative better that way, the GM characters just present threats on the board, and the PCs act within those threats, whether it's a trap or an archer or a minotaur.
Yeah.
We're just in that danger zone. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, initiative and saves were huge clicks for me to appreciate why this game is different. While it's very tropish in D&D, gameplay is different.
Nice.
For a monster of the week, I probably was thinking maybe 4 or 5 more mysteries before we start looking toward concluding the character arcs and bringing some things home. At the end of that, D&D is a strong option. I'm not sure what else Jessica might be interested in. There's quite a few different types of games. She mentioned very briefly wanting to run something.
Yeah, I would have fun playing with you. So if she wants to run, I'm definitely down.
And she has a game that we've listened to on a podcast called Everyone is John, where the players all play personalities within a single insane character. The character is John, and we would take turns controlling him, trying to get certain things done. It's just weird, off-the-wall game, and it fits her kind of flighty interests as a GM, I think, to just kind of throw us into weird spots.
Sure.
But it's one that a game lasts like 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and then you can play 2 or 3 of them in a session. And
that's cool.
So it might be something like that she'd want to do, is just a break to kind of. I don't think she's never GM'd before, so give her a chance to kind of test it.
Yeah, very cool.
I really want to play Masks. I don't know if it's a genre that you have any interest in, but it's a superheroes, but it's kind of like Teen Titans. It's less about your powers and more about being like a young adult hero, and there's expectations heaped upon you. There's adults telling you it's too dangerous for you, like you're still a kid, and you rail against that. And then there's other people telling you, you're a hero. You have to you're just caught in the middle of you've got power, but you don't have a lot of respect or authority yet.
That's cool.
It's definitely a game of adolescent heroes, and it's really fucking cool. I've played it a bit, and I think it could be fun to play. I think Jessica would enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, I should probably run. I should check in with Cassie before either of us turn into a pumpkin.
Speaking of pumpkin form. All right, man. Well, it was fun tonight. Thank you very much.
No, thanks for letting me run. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good night, man.
Yep, you too. Bye.
Bye.